How's it going, gang? Chris Cart's back through the mail. Monday 6 returns for you today, including our very first return back from North Texas on this final week of May. Hope everyone out there had a great weekend. We got some answered questions back. To kick this week's video off right, we've got Dick Egan here on a 1966 Topps as an Angel. Of course, he played in the big leagues for 4 years as a lefty reliever out of the pen for all 74 games of his big league career. Played for Detroit, Los Angeles, as well as, of course, the California Angels. Answered some questions for me. Of course, he went on to become a special assistant to Dave Dombrowski when he was working with Detroit. Of course, Dave is now currently the GM of the Filthies. Let's see what we got here as far as answered questions. How many autograph requests do you get in a week or month? He says, who counts? Okay, then. Let's see. Do you have any pet peeves about us asking for autographs? He said, good, bad, or indifferent. The baseball fans keep these spoiled and rich players going. Not a lot of payback to the fans. Happy new season. So there you guys go. I don't think he quite understood the question, but at 88 years young, let's just be glad he's still signing and sending back these cards. Dick Egan with a nice salty response to my questionnaire. Would have kicked this week's off through the mail Monday with a little spice. Let's move on, my friends. 5 more to go. Let's see what let's see what kind of trouble we can get into. Let's move on to number 2. Richmond, Virginia for return numero dos. See who we have here, of course. We've got another lefty, Gary Lavell. Gary Lavell, who had a nice long career with the San Francisco Giants, 2-time All-Star, once in 77, once in 83. I did ask him to inscribe the 84 Topps, one of my set cards with the All-Star inscriptions. Looks like he just went on and signed all of the cards with the All-Star inscription. Of course, 11 of his 13 big league seasons with the Giants before finishing his career off with Toronto and Oakland. 745 games he got into those 13 years. Only started 3 of them. 136 saves, a sub-3 ERA, and a record of 80 and 77. Pretty good little pitcher, Mr. Gary Lavell. Great signer. Nice to get these back. Also, check off another one for the 84 Topps set. Very nice to get another one of those signed. Let's move on, my friends, to return number 3. All right, friends, moving right along here. No idea where this is from. I've got the Alex Trebek stamp, the Jeopardy stamp, not even canceled. And we've got Mr. Mark Wasinger here in a Giants uniform. Came up with the Padres after they drafted him in the 3rd round way back in 1982 out of Old Dominion. Only got into 3 games for the Padres before ending up on the Giants, playing 47 more games in 87 and 88. Did get a home run in 87, so congratulations there. Mr. Mark Wasinger became a scout extraordinaire after his playing career was over with. Predominantly signed Jake Peavy when he was working with the Padres, and of course spent the last 22 years with the Red Sox, including, of course, kind of discovering and drafting Mookie Betts in the 5th round. And they kicked him to the curb after the end of last year during a player development overhaul they had in the Red Sox organization. So after 22 years with the Red Sox, as of September of 2024, I do believe he is now retired or at least looking for work. If any of you out there are hiring, there you guys go. Mark Wasinger, a nice return from him. And it appears he kept the Columbus Clippers card, so that's kind of a bummer. I like that card. I like getting those minor league cards signed. Moving on, my friends, to return number 4. Next return from Nova, which will be Northern Virginia here. Lacey on the address return area of the envelope. That's going to be Mr. Bob Lacey, and we've got cards spilling out. We've got answered questions still in the envelope. We've got 2 cards that look identical on the mat there, but they are not. They just have almost identical backs. That's just Topps being lazy back in the day, and we've got Mr. Bob Lacey here in his glorious A's uniform. Also played for the Cleveland Indians, as you see on the far right. Bob Lacey, 7-year career, 4 with Oakland, played a year for the Giants, Cleveland, California, and, of course, the Texas Rangers. Did start 1 game in that 7-year period, otherwise mainly a reliever. 1978, he led the league with 74 games appeared in. That's quite a lot of games. He went on to coach the Greenville Bluesmen independent ball in the late 90s. In fact, he didn't just coach them. He got into 4 games in 98 and 4 games in 1999 as a reliever. So let's check out his answered questions here. How many autograph requests do you typically receive each week or month? He says, I receive between 300 and 400 card requests per year. More lately due to people's nostalgic mood. All right, then. Is there something out there you would like those that request autographs to know, pet peeves, etc.? I generally can tell when someone just wants my signature for sales purposes. Finished it off with a Bible verse inscription. Nice return from Mr. Bob Lacey. There you guys go. There's information. There are the cards I sent him. A nice return from Mr. Lacey. Let's move on, my friends. We're almost done. Let's move on to our next return. All right, friends, 2 more to go. Let's go with this one from Fort Wayne, Indiana, as we have an unsigned index card. And these guys don't want to come out. We got one that came out. We got Joe McCabe here. Joe McCabe signed on a card that already is signed by Jerry McNertney, and Joe McCabe was a catcher out of Purdue. Signed as an amateur free agent with the Twins before being traded off to the Senators the very next year. 64, got into 14 games with the Twins. 65, he got into 14 games with the Senators, and that was his entire career. 53 plate appearances, 1 home run. He went on to become an airline pilot after his playing careers were done. Old school DC-10 pilot, one of the very first to be trained on the Boeing 777, so he was a commercial pilot for many years. Joe McCabe actually fought to get the retirement age of the pilots raised to 65. I guess they want to work more. I guess that makes sense if they think they can still make money and still fly competently. They don't want to retire at 60 or whatever the age was. So Joe McCabe, there you guys go. Who had the better career, Don Lown or Joe McCabe? Joe McCabe did. He got into 28 games as a position player. Don Lown was a pitcher. His first game was a complete game shutout against the Boston Red Sox back in 1964, a 5-hitter. Started against the Red Sox later on in October, and that was his last start in his big league career. So there you guys go. Joe McCabe, Don Lown, I do believe signs for $10 a card, so if I want that card completed, I can do so for $10. Here you guys go. I forgot to take the photo. I guess the before picture of the cards in the envelope. So there you guys go. There's information. Let's move on, my friends, to our final return of the day. All right, friends, final return from San Antonio, Texas / the Rio Grande District. And we've got an unsigned index card, and I think we got more questions answered in here. How about that? Lots of questions answered in this week's Through the Mail Monday. We've got Skip Pitlock here. Signed with his debut inscription. Looks like he signed him on all the cards. I just asked the Giants card to be signed since he did debut with the Giants in 1970 before taking a hiatus to the minors until 1974 when he came back up with the White Sox. Played for the White Sox in 74 and 75. Of course, signed my team card for my 74 Topps team set. Also signed by Wilbur Wood, Buddy Bradford, and Stan Bonson. He was a pitcher, a very poor hitting pitcher. Pitched in the 59 games as both a starter and a reliever. And he had an .080 batting average as a hitter, 25 at-bats, 18 strikeouts. But you know what? He went deep once. He ran into one, and he hit a double for his only 2 hits. He says he gets about 2 autograph requests a week, and he says, hey, do you have any problems with us? He says, no problem. Sometimes letters are too short. Life is too short, my friends. Am I right? Never did play for Oakland. Nobody does it better, and I ain't tripping. Very nice return from Skip Pitlock here. And that is it, my friends, for this week's Through the Mail Monday. Yeah, he did inscribe the Giants card and then the White Sox card. I only asked the Giants card because that's, of course, relevant. He debuted with the Giants. I don't normally have them inscribe their debut inscription on a card where they are not on the team they debuted with. But some of these guys just go nuts and inscribe all of the cards with my one requested inscription request. So Skip Pitlock, nice return from him. Awesome return. Hey, don't be chintzy on your letters of request to Mr. Skip. I hope he wasn't implying that mine was too short because I wrote a pretty long one. And I type them so these guys aren't struggling trying to read them because I struggle to read some of these answered questions sometimes, as you guys have heard. But not too bad on this week's Through the Mail Monday. By the way, put it in the books. We are done with this week's Through the Mail Monday. Thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. I do this every single week. I've done so for the last 331 weeks in a row. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button so you know when my videos go live. Of course, my Through the Mail Monday is 9 times out of 10 go live midnight on Monday Pacific Standard Time every single week. So check them out. Never know who I'm going to get back, which is always kind of exciting. Hopefully I give you guys some interesting facts about some of these players. Some of them are pretty boring, but you know what? Some of them have some pretty exciting stories to tell. So that is it, my friends. Have a great week. Thanks for joining me. See ya.